So, the story called The Blue Cross by Gilbert Case Chesterton. So, the plot of the story is simple. The head of the Paris police heads to London to investigate the actions of some famous criminal. So his name is Valentin. He comes to Paris and sits on the train. So he didn't know anything about the criminal himself, but he knew his name was Flambeau and he was extremely tall. And moreover, he was a master of disguise, so he could be anyone, anywhere, at any time. So no one could somehow identify him. But he was extremely tall, and everyone knew his name. He was very famous for his various crimes. So, and when he sits on a train, he sees people talking to each other. One person talking about the Blue Cross that he's carrying, like one clergyman, I mean, and he suggests him not to share this information about carrying a valuable item with him. So he goes on and tries to follow the track of the criminal, and he was looking for tall people, but no one was really tall. And so he was looking for a criminal and follows the track of him, and he tries to follow the track of him. He eventually comes to a restaurant when he sits down and notices that salt and sugar were switched places, and there was a stamp of the stain of some dark stain on the wall, and he asks a waiter and calls him to himself and asks him what happened there, and he tells him a story about two priests walking inside. One was like really tall, and the other was like a smaller one, and the smaller one was doing some crazy stuff. He just threw half empty bowl of soup to the wall, must have switched the places of sugar and salt. Yeah, sorry. Well, he asks him the directions of them, where they were gone. He says, and he leads them to another spot when he eventually comes to the place of a store on the market, and he talks to the person who sells oranges and nuts, and he says that the detective Valentin notices that there are oranges and nuts, and names of them on atop of them are switched. So like he says to the seller's man, like, that there's some misconceptions at your products, and he says that must have been those Small and tall priests. Small was doing crazy stuff. He was like going really crazy, man. There's some weird stuff going on, and the sheriff asks him some questions, asks for directions. He still follows the track of him. So basically, then he comes to the candy shop where a lady sells products. A person sells products. Well, basically, he asks him about tall and small priests, and she tells that they handed her some packages, and we're talking about sending it to Westminster. So she eventually sent it to Westminster, and well, she sent it to Westminster, and after that they left. So he again asks her about where they gone, all the questions and stuff, as usually detectives do, and then he finally finds them on the place they were led to by this person, and he finds them both, and silently he follows them, hiding in the bushes and all, like stealthily. And he hears them talking about some theological questions. They were like quarreling about the reason. The quarreled. The old man was like completely against it, was like criticizing it a lot, basically. And after a quarrel, tall man asked him for the cross, and the little priest, the little clergyman, tells him that he won't give it to him. And with a sense of victory and a sense of like a dominance, the tall priest tells him like, I already have your cross, like I just switched your packages, and I have your cross and you have just something else inside of it. And he says like, well, I actually know that, but I switched the bags in the candy shop, and I left a lot of tracks, so the police must have followed us. But he eventually reveals himself to be a criminal. And the small priest, I forgot to mention that he was the Father Brown from the series of stories of Chestертona. So Father Brown. So he says that I already left a lot of tracks, so police must have followed us. So, and when he says that, Valentine jumps out of the bushes, arrests him, and they both bow to such skills of a small clerk to have planned a lot of stuff to get a policeman, to get a police to catch a criminal. So he had some quite a detective skills which they bowed to. So this is the end of the story. Thank you.